SQR podcast, Cole Rosenberg, cracking in on another gorgeous night here in the studio at the Art Factory. As we said, we're just all, this continuity of life is what we love to capture. And I'm honored and blessed to be here with the man, the legend, the hero, DJ Chef Fred. It's a pleasure, my friend. Can we toast?
Toast.
Enjoy your presence here.
Thank you, Squirrel Rosenberg.
Pleasure. DJ Chef Fred, and I don't want to say infamous, I want to say the famous DJ Chef Fred. The one and only. Could you share a little bit of who you are so my audience who really don't know who you are can find out exactly who you are?
I am Chef Frederic Henry Nesbitt III, DJ Chef Fred, San Francisco, California.
That's a powerful name.
Yeah. I've been blessed to work with some pretty amazing people that are influential that helped me be able to accelerate my work, and I became one of the top cannabis chefs in the globe to educate, draft laws with different prime ministers of countries 6,000 miles away from my home, and
wow.
Just two amazing things to help not only my own community where I built my base, but also internationally and domestically around the United States and Canada and Mexico.
Well, that's what we want to do here on the podcast tonight. I want to dig into the ingredients, those little spices of life that have made you who you are right now. Yeah. Such a major influencer. And when I got to connect with you initially and we were talking over the phone, I wanted to end the phone call like 2 minutes into the call because I wanted to capture all of that here.
Yeah.
Because your energy is so authentically rich, my friend.
Thank you, man.
Mazel tov on that.
Thank you, sir.
DJ Chef Fred.
Yeah, it's all about frequency. Thank you.
Thank you. When you say something profound on the podcast, it's called dropping a jewel. You just dropped a jewel right now. It's all about frequency.
Cheers.
Bong.
It
Thank
really
you.
Is,
Before we jump into your story, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Heineken. At SQR Podcast, not only do we speak responsibly, but we drink responsibly. And Bong, Heineken, the only beer to drink. Here we stay Corona free. That's why we drink Heinekens.
I got a great story about Heinekens, okay? I had a girl that I dated when I was 15, and we would go into North Beach, San Francisco,
in
the little Italian district right there, and we would go into a spot and get these lattes, right? And she was all like, we were all modded out, looking like Robert Smith, and all crazy looking back then.
Yeah.
And we would go and peel the old labels off of them. Because when they would sit in the sweat, you could pull the labels off.
Yeah.
And it had like a specific special meaning, you got to have a great date.
That's a classic moment.
Yeah, so I've always loved Heineken. So cheers to you for being able to bring me one of my best days.
Mazel tov. SQR Podcast. Boy, Squirrel Rosenberg is about to crack open this egg disguised as DJ Chef Fred. So the name you were given was Frederic
Henry Nesbitt III.
Frederic Henry Nesbitt III.
Yes, sir.
You sound like you are a knight back in the past life, but we're gonna get to that. DJ Fred, Frederic Nesbitt III. Let's go back to the beginning. I'm very fascinated. What was your background like when you were born? What was family makeup like when you came into the world? What was that?
My dad was a record producer.
Okay.
And he bought a house, and he married the girl that lived across the street from him. From there, he was from Detroit. He's a Detroit doo-wop singer.
Oh, nice. What's his name?
Fred Fox. Yeah, he goes by Grateful Fred now because he started managing this Grateful Dead cover band. So he started being Grateful Fred. So it's like, all right, whatever.
Fred Fox, huh?
Yeah, but he was a doo-wop singer.
Yeah.
And he traveled in the Navy, and he started off in Detroit in the fire pit singing doo-wop to do, like just,
Yeah.
And he had a really good high note, and he would just like really carry all the bass guys and be able to he had a great time in the Navy.
Wow.
So he wrote a book, a memogram for Vietnam.
Okay.
Right? So it talks about his story starting off in Detroit and building all that. It's
So
pretty cool.
so that's Dad's background. What was Mom like?
Mom was Spanish and Italian.
Okay.
So my grandfather came from Madrid. He was one of 8 kids that survived coming over and survived the plague. So he was the one that was born on the boat getting breast milk, and so he actually lived. So that was pretty cool. So then he moved to like Sacramento, Lancaster somehow after he got.
Oh, we're talking about the Black Plague.
Yeah, way back.
1812, I think.
Yeah. I think he was born in 1812 or 11 or something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, or 13. I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
have
So
to
he
remember.
survived because he was born on the boat.
On the boat getting breast milk. Yeah, man. Yeah. So grandpa.
Look at the shoulders you're standing on, my dude.
Yeah.
So, born into this world. By the way, Mom sounded like she was beautiful.
Yeah, she was great. She passed away in 2020 in March, unfortunately.
What's Mom's name?
Victoria.
Can we toast to Victoria?
Oh, please, thank you.
Yeah.
You know,
Salute.
You make me cry. You know, she was such an influence and inspiration, just like my pop. You know, back to going. Pop was a music producer, and my bed was underneath. The crib was all chopped down low. It was underneath the recording console, so he'd be recording all like Neil Young from Journey.
Yeah,
so before they were Journey, they all grew up on the peninsula in San Francisco. There's a lot of musicians that he actually gave their first recordings to, and then he worked with Stu Blank and recorded a lot of really cool.
So you're sleeping underneath the console?
I'm sleeping underneath the console, and then I started pulling stuff out when I was, and he's like, all right, let's get him out of here. Let's go in the house. So they kicked out the tenants that they had paying the mortgage on the house while they lived in the studio. Right? So,
wow, so creative. Brothers, sisters. Any brothers or sisters?
I have a sister, Tracy Nesbitt.
She's the youngest or old?
She's the youngest. Yeah.
Oh wow.
She's like 3 years younger.
Nice. So you come in and my dude, I can only imagine you sound like this kid that's having fun right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
What was as you're growing up in that dynamic? What was like middle school, high school? What was that dynamic like?
Well, so we moved from where I was born in San Mateo to Half Moon Bay.
Okay.
So it went from peninsula, San Francisco suburbs to on the beach, farm, 4-H, baseball and soccer, and just a real
nice.
way suburb on the coast of California kind of thing. And
how was that adjustment?
It was great. Yeah, it was cool, man. I got a dirt bike and cruising around. Got a horse, and it was fun.
Yeah.
Learned how to do a saddle, and
wow.
Started all that. It was fun.
Nice.
So then I moved into South San Francisco. My dad had a electrical company too, so he built all these discos, like back in like 79, 81. I'm 50 now, so. So there was a lot of problems that happened like in the early 80s during that whole I don't know.
Was it did you realize, looking back retrospectively, did you realize that it was an interesting time that allowed you to adjust, or?
Yeah, so then from riding my horse, I moved into an area where I had to save my shoes. It was way inner city. I was like, wait, this is way lit. But it was fun. So there was a lot of musicians. One of my best friends was in the band called Death Angel, Andy Gallion.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up with Death Angel and, Demented, DRI, DOA. There was a lot of bands.
How old are you at this time?
12. And I was already going to shows. As soon as I moved to South San Francisco, I had to be with my boys. We were all like music and art, and by the time I was 15, I looked like Robert Smith.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was great.
So are you telling me, because it sounded like either you were completely rebellious against conforming to the norm, or mom and dad completely supported that freedom or that openness?
Both. Okay, so I play baseball, had a mohawk at this point. Okay, it was like 1986 or something when I was a freshman.
Yeah.
And I've always been all-star athlete in baseball. The coaches all, look, you can't have a mohawk. I was like, dude, I hit home runs. I'm a third baseman and a catcher. What do you mean?
How were the grades?
B's, C's, D's, F's, depending on how much I partied that month. Because I always partied since I was like 11. Because I moved from riding a horse to
This inner city.
like the parents worked and the kids ran neighborhoods. For real, it was like blue collar as it got. You know, we were all sort of good kids. You know, like our parents were cool, they cared, and you know, but we ran that.
Wow,
it was an interesting place to be.
Could you share a little bit, since you are such a connoisseur now of cannabis and you know the potential and the intermingling? Yeah, salute, my dude.
Heineken, I'm telling you, my first beautiful date.
With a Heineken?
Was Heineken, dude, and we pulled the label off, and I think in my collection of life stuff, I have the note that she wrote about how much she cared about me on that label.
Special moment,
From a Heineken,
classic
so
moment.
Sorry, Mr. Heineken, but yeah, you
classic
really
moment being
cool
captured
stuff
here
for me,
with Heineken, and that's what it's all about. And that's why I'm so fortunate to have them as a sponsor. You know, I don't mean to be all over the place, but
I wish I could make this up, but it's not.
No. So look, that was amazing, and it's one of the things I love having them as a sponsor, because the high quality product complements a high quality experience, which is what you just shared.
So when I look at this label, I get sad because I can't take it off on a date and get a love letter.
For DJ Fred Chef, aka the Romance King.
No, for sure.
I wanted to continue. You know what? Before we do this, let's take a quick break. Let's come back, and I want to pick up from and how you got open to cannabis.
Sure. And
now how we transition to now where you're so rich with knowledge and the potential of cannabis. Not only, you know, in many ways we can ingest it, but especially with your culinary experience. So SQR podcast, Cole Rosenberg, here with DJ Fred, the chef.
Sure.
And I wanna kind of master Fred Nesbitt III. What's the middle name?
H. It could be Henry.
It could be. You don't know?
No. Well, there's a bunch. There's other. I should be the fourth, but because I'm H, I'm the third.
Bong. We'll be right back. Score Rosenberg. One.
Backing up and I'm just getting started. Ain't no stopping. Yeah, I'm going in. Lights out, knocked out. Bring the smelling salt out. Who want it? Who's next? Deep thrown, we the best. Royalty in the flesh. I will play, and I will never stop until you drop too young.
I'm DJ Chef Fred. Welcome to the Dish of the Week.
SQR podcast, Cole Rosenberg, rocking in with DJ Chef Fred. Fred Nesbitt III. Such a powerful name.
Thank you, Squirrel Rosenberg. I love saying your name, just so nice and mellow. It's just like,
no, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is the best podcast I've been to, and probably all the ones I've gone to. The ambiance, the energy, back to the frequencies.
Yeah,
and
bong.
Then, you know, like,
No, I appreciate that.
This
No, I
is so
appreciate
great.
that.
I really do.
And I'm so glad I'm running audio when, you know, we're adjusting cameras behind the scenes, because I catch all that rich stuff. So we're going to get to the meaning of DJ behind DJ Chef Fred. Well, let's just walk through. You're 15, you're 12 to 15.
So that's sort of, okay, right there is where I started to get my culinary experience. So my grandma had a place called the Lunch Company. So she would go in, she would be hard to get up with arthritis. So I would take the bus from where I lived about like 9 miles down at like 5 in the morning before I started school, slice all the meat. That's where I started, you know, as fast as I could slice the meat.
Why
then
would you do that?
Because she's old.
Did mom and dad say, hey?
No. Plus I got paid as an adult. Not at first, but as soon as I started to set her up so that she didn't have to do anything.
How many 13, 14-year-old kids are going to get up
Well, I started my entrepreneurship when I was like 9 years old with like 4 lawnmowers.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, so like by the time I got to that, I had a skateboard. I already owned a car. They were trying to keep me out of it. You know, like I had kids in the neighborhood working.
Can I ask you this question?
Like,
What do you think, or who was it that gave you that spark or created that entrepreneurship spark from back then? Was it something you saw? Can you go back and if there's
you want the honest truth, brother?
Yeah, please.
Okay. My dad's never given up. He's an entrepreneur. He's done a lot of different things, right? Some semi-successful, but it's always taught me to always give and to do what I want to do and never be what someone else wanted me to be.
Major jewel right
but
there.
There's two Nesbitts. So my other one is Mr. Patrick Michael Nesbitt. Okay, that's my Uncle Pat. He's the largest owner of Embassy Suites Hotels franchise in North America. He brought polo into the Olympics, Summer Olympics, by his team and what he's done, and he's very into donating.
So you are
charity.
around these great minds, these great energies that don't give up, that continue to create. And
So,
of
like,
course, you're cut from that cloth.
Like so much that I went to school at Santa Monica. My Uncle Pat gave me a really cool opportunity to go to school. You know, he gave me a little funding, a little pad. Boom, boom. Here's the code to our mansion. You can come down to Santa Barbara and, like, you know, you're with us. It was a cool opportunity to be able to chauffeur him from, you know, Santa Monica to Palm Springs, Indio, to the polo fields out in India where Coachella's held, right? Where he's the president of the golf club or the polo club.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to then Santa Barbara, I would go down. I was in college, you know, I'm like 21 or 23 in that age right there. And I'm like, yo, let's go out down in Santa Barbara from Santa Monica. And I'd drive down and, you know, we would drink and have a great time. But I wasn't driving all the way back to Santa Monica.
Yeah.
So I would go and hit the code and just go sleep in the car up on the top. Well, I wake up and there's a Goodyear blimp floating around the pad, and I'm all, oh, something lit's happening around the house. What's going on? So then I go down, I'm like, ooh, I can go get a vodka cranberry and an omelet right now. So, I mean, I got food and, you know, a cocktail.
You were
I was on
taking
my
it up.
own little thing. So
What's so funny is
I go down to the table and I sit down, I order my drink and something. Oh, yes, Mr. Nesbitt. So then they go up, and then the people that sat at my uncle's table started showing up. So Oprah Winfrey shows up. Kevin Costner, Jack Nicholson from The Shining, okay? And then all of a sudden there's a little...
What year was this?
like 93 or 2 or something like 4.
Oprah's
when
moving at this point.
she just moved into Santa Barbara on the hill.
Yeah.
She lives up the hill from him. So all of a sudden we're out there, and all the guys are playing polo on the thing, and there's this cart. Like, I'm just picture this man with red hair that became the president of the United States with the Art of the Deal books in a little red wagon that he took from downstairs. Yeah. Right? Instead of carrying a box, and he steals the cart to go. Fucking guy. Anyways, so he starts autographing them. So I'm sitting with Donald Trump, Oprah Winfrey, and out of all these individuals, okay, you can not only, like, they don't belong. It's like a Sesame Street thing. Like, one of these kids is doing his own thing. Like, yo, and that's me. Like, I don't even belong here, yo. Like, I just came off from, like, partying off Isla Vista and Santa Barbara. You see Santa Barbara. Yeah.
Oh, like, my God.
I want an omelet
just
and a cocktail.
Sit at this random table, not knowing what's going on, start eating, and then...
No, I know. It's my uncle's table. I can go there. I got my food card thing, you know. Like, I'm the spoiled kid, you know.
Right. Amazing.
It's like a $70 million estate.
Did you communicate with anybody at the table during that whole...
Yeah. I got a book still, dude. I even Donald Trump signed Chef Fred. I wasn't Chef Fred then. I was Chef Fred Nesbitt. That's who I was then.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Sorry,
Okay.
I forget who I was back then.
No. That's big. That's big. That's so amazing. So I want to go back to you left a pin at after.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's fine. I
enjoy
enjoy that ride because it all added up
It
to.
was just like you said, like pinnacle people. Whoa. You're right,
Yeah,
and that's what my life has been about: is being in a situation where all of a sudden there's people that you would never ever believe that are around you, and it's about manifestation, and it's about believing that you're supposed to be at these places for some weird reason. So,
SQR podcast called Rosenberg. DJ Chef Fred just dropped 3 major jewels back to back just now.
It's my life.
Could you look into the main camera and just say that again, please? I want you
Manifestation. Okay. That's the number one thing.
to manifest
That's all.
and believe that you're supposed to be there.
Brandy Vale.
Wow.
Brandy
So
Vale.
all right, let's finish this because here's why I'm being so detailed and allowing and wanting you to express all these innuendos that you've experienced. There's a young kid watching this,
Okay.
or another chef, or somebody who's in the ruts right now and is like, wow, where can I go? And when they listen to the story, they're going to be motivated. So let's go through this. So you mentioned being aware to, and that's where we went from the entrepreneur. You're working for your grandmother. You started slicing the meat, prepping the store.
Thank you.
In the morning before she woke up. So
And that's where my journey sort of began
With the
to understand. I already had kids working in the neighborhood for me, so I had money coming in, residual. Like the age.
Were you
of
ever cooking at home before?
Yeah,
No, but
because
prior to working in grandma's.
Of course.
You were cooking at home before?
Yeah, you had to because mom and dad worked. So when I lived in Half Moon Bay, mom stayed home. I moved all of a sudden inner city, and my parents had some financial issues. So all of a sudden, I'm raising my sister.
Because they both have to work.
And because they have to work, they don't get home until 6 o'clock. So we got off of school at 2. They didn't
Boom,
have
you
money
come
for
home.
babysitters. We moved to that area because it was cheap. So all of a sudden, I became inner city. So I became friends with some of the most amazing people.
Do you remember the first meal you put together for your sister and yourself? Or your most favorite meal?
Spaghetti. Yeah, we made spaghetti.
So did you end up cooking for mom and
And
dad?
beef and broccoli. So what really started it was those little Lari packets.
Yeah. I remember Laurie's.
Big taco, burrito,
Yeah.
enchilada. So it gave a foundation, of how to actually create food and understanding the order of fire for what you're trying to do. You sweat your onion, you do your meat, and then you do your vegetables, and boom, 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 and there's your sauce, and you mix it together. You understand a little bit of a emulsification, all from a Lari seasoning packet.
It's amazing.
Okay, so all that goes into a culinary school, and then you understand how to reverse engineer the whole thing and actually create it.
Wow.
So I mean, it's a silly
amazing.
way to do
No, but
it. It's just a
you're how old
large
are you this
packet.
age? You're 15?
Yeah.
Come on, self-taught.
Saving your family.
Self-taught.
Mom comes home and dinner's done.
I was going to ask you that. So
Yeah.
what was mom's impression of the meal that you would make?
Happy. She didn't have to do it. And then we did the dishes too.
And she enjoyed it.
Yeah, of course. We all did. That's how we lived until, we were like 16, 17 when, we all started to move along and
So
weren't in the house
it
so
seems
much.
it seems as if, and I'm glad you mentioned this. It seems as if not only mom and dad supported and exposed you to freedom and expression and art and just experiencing life. However, it seems as if you grasped that, So let's talk about.
I've got to have a silver spoon and, fight over my Jordans all in the same week.
So that contrast gave you this. Gave you that
It was really
wisdom.
mind bending, but it was cool.
All right, so so now we know where the cooking thing came in, and so we're gonna see the merger of all of this. And before I go into the second break, let's talk about the music, right? Because DJ Chef Fred, where did that music thing come in, and what are the influences for that?
Well, I started to go to clubs when I was, 15 years old. Climb out the window. Had a couple girlfriends that were all little hot mods, right? And we took the bus. And they had bigger balls than me, right? They knew the bouncers. I was like, all right, let's go. Hey, just jump. I'm just following the chicks. They already
Smart man.
They know.
Smart man.
You
You can't go wrong when you follow the chicks.
Gina Pagano, great woman, the one I was just telling you about. So this girl was the most amazing. She got us into everywhere at the age of 15. Okay, it was the most.
Big shout out to Gina.
New York, hey.
So you're going out to these clubs, and
it built a musical influence. We weren't listening to Iron Maiden and all the little metal and the other Guns N' Roses. That wasn't the jam. People were listening to like Joy Division and New Order and Echo and the Bunnymen and The Cure and Bronski Beat and just a lot of different 80s kind of energy, and which turned into dance music. New Order is pretty much the
true.
The founder.
So, so let's just follow. So you're a smart man. You're having fun with the ladies. You go where they're going because they never leave you wrong. There's always going to be fun. You're in these clubs. You're experiencing the music.
That was the baby. So you just had to feed it.
And how does it transition to becoming a DJ?
Well, that's where the raves came in. So I got to experience the whole San Francisco and Southern California rave scene. And from like 1988, 1990, when we first started to go out and hit all the deep clubs, by 95, I got my first turntables. So
do you remember what brand it was?
Technique 1200s, of course. What else? Yeah. So that was what really started me. So first, my roommates, one had one and the other one had one, so they both sucked on him. So I had to like, all right, cool, you guys done sucking? Cool, let me get on there and shit. So because I played drums, I was around music. I've always been I played in like different bands. I sang at the national anthem at a Giants game. Like different like things that I grew up with because my dad wanted me to play and do so. So he would put us in like community chorus or.
You were a singer?
Like, no, not anymore. I smoked too many cigarettes and shit. But at one point, I could sing a little bit, and that's what my dad gave us those opportunities.
Which made the music background. So becoming a DJ was much easier for you
because I could feel it, I could hear, and I can do activate different octaves without losing that ability.
Of course,
so just playing.
Yeah, and the BPMs. Are you so you do any of the little zigga tricks, or are you just into blends
I could do a little bit of scratching. I've been in a few bands and stuff as the DJ scratching and hype guy. But like my big is doing like 4-minute mixes, writing the beats, playing,
nice blends,
taking you on a ride and letting you feel the emotions that I'm trying to like portray in the music that I select for you.
Which is as a DJ, another DJ, I like the way you said that because when I play, it's like I'm painting my picture of how I want you to enjoy this music. I weave it in, I repeat certain things. So that's but cool. I want to continue this, but let me pull this up. We'll take a quick break. Your boy DJ Chef Fred sitting in and honoring us right now at SQR Podcast, Squirrel Rosenberg. We're chopping through his life.
Rosenberg.
Yeah, we're chopping through his life and the experiences that has made him this iconic DJ, this iconic chef, this iconic cannabis influencer. SQR Podcast, Squirrel Rosenberg. 1.
If you only knew the power of dark side.
I'm DJ Chef Fred. Welcome to DJ Chef Fred Show. October 4th, I was invited out to the Las Vegas Hempfest. I DJ'd out there for a half-hour set. Got to hang out with Sendog from Cypress Hill. Watched Property 6 from Arizona. If you don't know who Property 6 is, they're an upcoming rap and rock band.
SQR podcast, Cole Rosenberg, rocking in with DJ Chef Fred. And, you know, we've kind of colored the journey to this point because we've been dancing. Normally, I try to keep my guests into this format of the transition from, you know, being a kid, growing up and transitioning to an adult. But your life seems to be so colorful. And what I mean by that is you were allowed to experience a lot of things early. And that's how you're able to become this beautiful kaleidoscope of talent and energy that you are. So I salute you for being so absorbent. And that's one of the things I wanted to say to you. Sitting across from you, all I heard is, or have heard so far, is you've accepted everything that you have experienced.
And I've given. It's not just about
major
me.
Jewel right there.
What's the opportunities is because I give to be at those places.
So we now realize the music influence. We now realize the cause and the influence behind the food. I would like to find out, when did you become inspired to perfect and grow culinarily?
Okay. That was 2000 and no wait. Actually, I went to 3 culinary schools.
Yeah. So what was the catalyst for becoming?
I had a girlfriend, and she said I was a great chef.
Based on the stuff you're cooking for your sisters and mom?
No. Like, we went to college, Sac State and different colleges, and, I would cook different stuff. And she was like, you should be a chef, that's what you should do, or you should be a stand-up comedian, one of the 3 things.
Or both.
Can you do all 3? Yeah. So that's even funnier because I'm DJ Chef Fred. So now I'm like, I cook and DJ at the same time and infuse the food. So yeah.
So let's finish. So let's go back to that girlfriend who suggested that.
Susie, good old Susie, right?
Yeah.
So
can we toast Susie for being an influencer? Without
she
even
was
knowing?
though. She was an inspiration. She was a ball buster, right? She just really pushed me to a lot of limits. So I went into the school. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be a chef, right? We go on a dinner. Her like friends are going to like college of San Francisco City College Culinary School, and I've always wanted to go to California Culinary Academy. That's the main school that's like up with CIA. It's really high end.
Yeah.
And I ended up applying to the school, and I didn't have my parents couldn't co-sign for me, and they weren't about to give me that loan, so I couldn't go to that school. And I ended up at Foothill College in Mountain View.
Okay.
In Los Altos Hills. And so I go to that school, and 2 lates equal an absence. And I'm still party boy. Okay, and I'm trying to learn how to be a professional chef. I'm trying to take life seriously, and there's lots of hardships and tribulations that it takes where you don't really realize that you really have to do a next level thing to get this education, to be able to become a professional and actually be someone that can handle the volume, the pressure, and to produce those foods. Part of that is showing up on time. Okay? Basics. So 2 lates equal an absence. So I'm kicked out of that school, right? Like 4 days before. But yeah, it was amazing. So whatever, that was fine. It closed right after, and the guy embezzled everybody's money, and the school closed. Okay. So then the next one was Santa Barbara City College, and I skateboarded 1.5 miles to school every morning at 4 a.m. Rain. It was the funniest thing because I was like rebuilding my life.
Got focused.
Right? So I was like, all right, I'm just going to skate. I'll be close enough. And 1.5 miles wasn't close enough. So I ended up in San Diego. Okay. And that's where I became a DJ. Okay. So then I got picked up by company in San Francisco. I'm sorry, I forget.
No, that's fine. But I want to stick a pin before we go back into getting picked up on a DJ. So the culinary school hops that you've been doing.
Yeah.
Where did you end
there
up?
There was a separation. So I went to the first one. I got
Kicked out.
Yeah, right at the end. The second one, right at the end. Okay.
Always right at the end.
Too late equal an absence. It always was my killer. Okay. Like I had
Not showing up.
at
Not
6,
being on time.
at 6 in the morning because I'm party boy. I'll be real. You took responsibility. So hey,
So instead of going to class, you were having sex.
doing whatever I wanted. You know,
Paid a
no,
cost.
I would show up, but if class starts at 6 and you're there after 6:05, which was the variance, you're late. And if you get 3 lates, you're out in a semester.
Understood.
Okay, so
Understood.
6:06, 6:05 in 3 seconds. Like this for real, dude. You know what I
they're
mean?
trying-
Like
they're trying
it
to-
wasn't.
yeah.
I never missed a day
You're late.
late. So you know, I
Paid the cost.
Yeah.
So you bump it at that class, the first college, and the second college,
Same
thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Third college.
Straight A's.
Well, before you went from the second to the third, the DJ thing came into the play.
Yeah. So I spent 5 years in San Diego
DJing.
being a performer, and then I got picked up by Moonshine
Yeah.
Records out of LA. So I did with Donald Glaw, DJ Dan, AK-1200. So I did pretty much from Missouri to Seattle
So
with that tour.
what was your experience when your first? Do you remember your first set you played in public?
Yeah.
Where was this?
We had a house party in San Diego, and there was like 500 kids at the house.
You volunteered to play?
No, we put the party on. We did them all the time. So it became like the jam.
So how did you end up behind the turntables?
We bought them
How did you end up behind them?
because I've always been
The music guy.
like either I was part of a band or I
Okay.
brought bands, you know, I either promoted or
Okay,
you
of
know.
course, which is where the dad's influence came in from that energy.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
I've
That made a
always
lot of
been
sense.
into like putting parties together.
So-
So I promoted and been an organizer for a lot of stuff. Yeah.
And did you realize the crowd reaction to how you were playing and the
I wasn't very good.
how could you be? You
No,
were just starting.
I just starting. Yeah, it was amazing. But within 2 years, a year and a half, I was playing in front of like 10,000 people.
What was that like? Your first 10,000 people set. What was that like?
I felt like I had to pee the whole time. I really did, though, man. I was so scared. Right? And I think someone put like a hit of black licorice Molly, like before Molly came out, like MDMA, in my cocktail or something, like my energy drink or smart drink. Like it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I was just all, my turn? Jibba, 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 jibba. And it was on. Go. And,
No
you
way.
know, never look back.
And you rocked out.
Yeah, for sure. And a couple little beat match
Yeah.
missings, you know what I mean?
You-
But like,
you-
I knew how to cut. I could do
dope.
a couple of moves and
So
stuff.
so let's go a little bit more granular. So you're there,
Yeah.
and maybe it wasn't that moment, but whatever
for the
moment.
love of music
Yeah.
at the Orange County Fairgrounds, it was like 30,000 people.
So do you remember
It was amazing.
looking up, seeing the crowd just rocking with you for the first and sense that energy? What was that like?
Scary.
Wow.
Because if you got them all going, right? And the hard part is that you would get this frequency because of the crowd that your music would skip on the records, right? And if you're like in a something that has beams underneath you,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you have 10,000 people going like this. Your stage is really doing some like
Yeah.
movement and stuff. So you're like your records be.
Yeah.
Swear I didn't do it, man.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was scary.
Isn't it amazing the influence that
And then
music?
just your own abilities and just to believe that you're like, I'm here, I'm matching it up,
Yeah.
it's all going. Like, you know, you're just starting. Like, after years of development, you're just like, yeah, whatever. just flying around, and it's no
Wow.
problem. But
No,
back then, it was
it's
it
so-
wasn't even Serato.
Yeah, I know. It's
Real
1200.
songs.
Yeah.
We're playing tracks.
Yeah. What's so funny is the influence that music has on us as human beings, and to be the guy who runs that or tells that story via music, that's amazing. It's a great experience. So thank you for being so detailed about that and sharing. I appreciate that. So I want to now navigate and come to where we are now, because
Sure.
we've realized how, you know, the two angles of food and music. You go back, you get serious, and you go finish your culinary studies. Where did you?
I become the chef to Alex Spanos, the owner of the San Diego Chargers.
How did that happen?
I worked at a place, and he came and ate there, and he liked me.
Did
It's
you approach?
frequencies? Okay. When there's individuals that are in the same area that produce these frequencies that we're talking about, they find each other, and that's
Major
how
Joe.
the
Major
deals,
Joe.
That's how it happens.
So you're working in the
it's-
right. Did you approach him or he approached you?
He approached me. He pulled me aside and said, "Hey, how much is it going to cost me to pull you over here on like 3 days a week?"
Wow.
It's like, all right, cool, let's go. What do you want? So then we did the inaugural ball for Arnold Schwarzenegger at his house.
And you were the chef for that?
I was a sous chef. That was my first sous chef role out of
So,
culinary school. Yeah.
all right. If you can, how did you think?
Swear, dude, it's
no,
so
because
funny, though.
because here's what I want to get from this. You're telling a beautiful story, which is your life. But how? And I know it's frequency, and that's why I'm not going to question it too much. But how do you think you were able to get into these major? I mean, come on, the guy from the Saints, the owner, Bing.
The San Diego Chargers.
San Diego Chargers.
Yeah. So then I was there, and then my family they have hotels such. So he said, "Hey, why don't you come over here to this hotel? I want you to be the executive sous chef over here."
Okay.
So I went over there, and I left the Schwabs.
Okay.
Or not the Schwabs, but that's later. I left Spanos.
Okay.
And he, he's still a resource. You know what I mean? Like, but so I went into our family business for 8 months.
Which is
a year.
the hotelier. Yeah.
Yeah. So I jumped into that.
And what did
some
you do in
management.
that field?
I was executive sous chef.
Okay.
So, I had they wanted me to go in, look at numbers,
Yes.
watch the executive chef, see what they were doing, and come back with a report and see if they're actually taking steaks out of the fridge or not.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, I'm out of here. This isn't my jam. You guys are tripping. So I went and became the executive sous chef at Ruby Hill Country Club
Ooh.
for John Madden.
Yeah.
So I worked with John Madden. I did all the bocce ball tournaments. For
Can I
him.
ask you this? Have you ever served anything that got a bad review or bad comment, and how did you handle that?
Sure. I don't know. I mean, not necessarily like in a newspaper or something.
No.
Like
From
that,
a.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not always the best chef. I'm a human. I understand all my techniques, and if someone that has something that, I'm so sorry. I'm a humble human.
I can sense that.
And if I had a big pride problem, there probably could have been 100 situations in my life where I could have socked someone in the eye. But because I've made a choice in my life a long time ago that understandings and compassion, okay, is where I'm gonna thrive the most as a human. Okay.
That was so profound.
And that goes with everyone that eats my food or listens to my music or sees me on a show that I'm on.
That's the energy you.
Yeah.
DJ Chef Fred,
you're allowed to have that energy, and I accept it.
That was so profound.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to fight it.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. That's incredible. So one of the things I also wanted to get into as we made this transition from, the music and the DJing and now getting into the food and passionately getting into the food. It's refreshing, but I'm also curious of now that you're doing these events and these major events. When did the cannabis infusion come into that imagery?
Okay, so in 2009, I was the executive chef, personal chef for Charles Schwab's sister, Catherine Schwab.
Wow.
So I was first Charles Schwab chef.
Yes.
So I left John Madden, Jerry Rice, and then Steve Young.
Oh, wow.
And then I went
Major
to
players.
Charles Schwab.
Yeah.
And then from Charles Schwab, I went to his sister at the Hellman Mansion in San Francisco.
Yes.
And she wanted to go to South Africa. She wanted me to leave my third baby. I wasn't about to leave my family. I'm a very family-oriented man. So, even though I'm live action, I still have, a great family thing that
Can
I
we,
do.
before we even finish to get on that tangent, I need to apologize because I need to ask you about the family bit for a little bit. So we're going to stick a pin right there and dig into that right now. But before we do that, let's take a quick break. SQR Podcast, Cole Rosenberg. We're going to come back in. Your boy DJ Chef Fred is sharing it all out. And I want you to understand this vulnerability is nothing but all the ingredients that have made him who he is. DJ Chef Fred, your boy Cole Rosenberg. We're taking a quick break. We'll be back to wrap this up. One.
Coral, thank you so much.
You're doing it, and wow, this definitely looks like way more than 5,000 than they talked about.
Right? That's what I'm saying too. I was just trying to be nice.
It's not even 420 yet.
I know. It's gonna be
So it's going to be hella crowded.
I think maybe like 15,000. I don't know. But we got beat set up. I'm going to be doing an infused cooking demo. Catch it up. See you in a minute. I'm DJ Chef Fred at Hippie Hill. I'm swimming against the water. I feel like a little trout or a salmon trying to go upriver. But check it out. We have so many people out here today celebrating cannabis.
SQR Podcast, Cole Rosenberg. You know what's so funny? There's certain meals you can't rush. You have to go through. And I want to take a moment to give a big shout out to the Patterson Police Department. They're always on cue. Every time I record, they go by. So to all the officers out there, safe night today, and thank you for the ambiance that's never missed.
I used to get mad about him, but then, you got that little
That's a nice sample.
It's like, you know what? Hey.
Thank you.
Quit being mad about it.
Exactly. So, DJ Chef Fred, I mean, your journey has been, as I said before, colorful, accepting, open. You have absorbed and appreciated every talent that you've, and you've actually acted on those talents. So what I love thus far in the journey is how you've navigated, being around the opulence, the celebrities, but being able to be the guy on the street and still maintain that common.
But it also comes at a point where when you are around these individuals, you come to a realization of who you are. And when you look at a rock video, okay, or a rap video, you know who's the gangster. You know who's the real rock musician by the lifestyle that they live, the people that are surrounding them, okay? And you recognize who you are a lot of times, okay? And that's what happened. So you realize, okay, wait, I wanted to be a DJ. I did the raves when I was a kid. I became, all of a sudden, on some of the top DJs. He's like number 10 in the world. DJ Dan.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We started him. Like, my friend started Basics in San Francisco.
Wow.
Keith Neves.
Yeah.
Okay. Funky Techno Tribe.
Yeah.
Okay. That's us as kids that put those together in San Francisco. Our group, by either putting flyers on windows, on the cars, or
guerrilla marketing to
or
get this
whatever
done.
we did, and that's what gave us part of that foundation.
Can I take a segue into
Promoting.
the family,
Yeah,
your family?
sure.
So you met your wife at what age?
27 or 6 or something like that.
Where was this?
San Diego. I was performing. I was in a band called Defrost, and it was the PB Block Party in San Diego on Garnett Street.
Yeah.
And my band's playing main stage. I'm scratching, and I have this baby pit bull. Well, Bono is his name after U2.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
big
yeah.
U2 fan, right? From my little hair days.
Yeah.
Can't get rid of it. So my first dog that I had as an adult was Bono.
Okay.
And he decided to fall off the stage and was hanging himself.
He decided to fall off the stage.
Ding dong. But he made his mistake got my wife. Well, the 3 girls that were right next to it saw my dog literally hanging off of the stage and everything, and they saved my dog, and they're like, "Hey, your dog," and I'm like, "Hey, cool," still just bad parent. and I took the first roommate out, and I had a motorcycle.
Okay.
And we didn't fit on my bike too well. It was like having Big Bird on the back of my bike. The wind was hitting her. It was like, man, this girl's gonna kill me and everything. It was just so gnarly. It was awesome, right? And she's great. Jen, I love her. Jenny's beautiful. Oh my God. Okay. So then there was another one, and she was just a little drunk for me, and then there was just one. They were all from Iowa, so I'm from Cali, and their frequency and their energy is just so different from the Midwest as a girl.
Yeah.
Okay, more like
Controlled, more reserved.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, and I fell in love with this girl.
Wow.
And we built an energy, and blah blah blah, and that's where that foundation started. I was partying every day. I had a crazy lifestyle. Cody's home.
Go ahead.
Partying every day and had a crazy lifestyle and performing, 4 days a week, in different clubs throughout the United States, flying around. And, she stuck by me, through a lot of...
Going through all that.
Yeah, she was really cool. She believed in what I was doing. She loved music. She loved art.
Oh,
and,
wow. What's her name?
Sarah.
Toast to Sarah.
Toast to Sarah.
Toast to Sarah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Best friend forever.
And that's what it all boils down to. Boils down to, I mean, at the end of the day, you're not, what I've realized, especially this year, I realized that you're not, if you become caught up in the roles that you're supposed to play, you miss the fun. Let's just be friends. So please continue to share. So now you've navigated, you met Sarah, you guys are traveling around. When did the first Bambina come into the picture, and how did that affect the dynamics?
Well, I got in a little bit of trouble, okay, and I had to make some adjustments in my life, and she was out of my girlfriends. I had some girlfriends and everything, and we actually stuck it out, and we had a baby, and that was Zola Victoria Nesbitt.
Olivia.
Zola.
That's a beautiful name.
Yeah, it means beautiful actually in Italian. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Zola Victoria is her name. So she was the poster child for all the people that I knew that were trying to have babies. So everyone's like, oh my God, your baby is just so perfect, right? And then all my buddies had all these babies they could not control. They're like, dude, your propaganda was bullshit. Your baby's so good. Cannot believe that you gave us this bullshit.
It's not working on our kid.
No, our baby isn't like that. So she really has been that kid.
Oh wow.
Growing up, through elementary school, and that's how I ended up with the Schwabs. Was my oldest daughter. She went to school with one of the moms, and her mom was the chef of the Schwabs. And said, hey, will you come and try out? My mom's gonna retire. So because of my oldest daughter,
You got that opportunity.
I was able to put that application in, resume, and do a stage with her, and she was like, hired. First, I didn't even finish the meal. And she was like, cool. It was great.
No.
But it's because of my oldest kid.
Zola.
Yeah, have babies. They do help you out.
Yeah, wow. So Zola is born. And are you still moving around at this time, or are you now settled?
No, we're settled. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm back in the Bay Area.
Okay.
I'm back. I'm working with my parents, helping them out.
Okay,
They're becoming
nice.
elderly. And, that started the foundation of working with my mom, who ended up a couple heart attacks, Alzheimer's, and then finally passed away, But, it started that whole foundation of being able to take care of my mom and my dad and, be able to give resources to my little sister, because we're making money, we're doing moves, and a lot of people aren't always being able to do that. So, hey, part of me is you, so how good am I going to feel if you're hungry?
True.
Yeah.
Wow, it's amazing. So the family makeup, your family, it's your wife, Zola, and you have...
And then I have Will.
Will, okay.
Yeah, Will's, it's actually Lily, okay, but Will is Will now.
Okay, so Lily is Will now.
Lily is Will now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And we support Will.
Oh, nice. And then you have another girl.
Samantha Blue.
Samantha Blue.
Yeah, she's still a little girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow,
She's
beautiful.
Little gamer, softball, volleyball.
Oh, nice.
And Will's really good at art. So that's Will's.
Thank you for being
really
so
cool thing.
thank you for being so open about that transition and that experience that Will is going through or has gone through. And
Will, I keep doing it, but Will is beginning this process, and
Okay.
I'm beginning this process too. So I'm learning how to make the changes on the pronouns and acceptance. I grew up in San Francisco. I've had a lot of friends that have made these kind of changes in the industries that we've been in, and that's part of that support for all the groups.
can I
And I mess up on the pronouns.
Yeah,
but it's not intentional. You've been my baby girl for 13 years, so here we go. I'll work on this.
give me some time.
Please.
No, I respect that. Based on your perception, how is your wife adjusting or have adjusted to that transition?
100% supportive also.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's been really cool, the wife, to be able to help me be educated. And even though I've been through this, I haven't been through this with my daughter.
Yeah.
Or my daughter to be in transition.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that.
Yeah.
So as you've created this beautiful family and have settled down and start working, we had left off where your interaction with the Schwabs was the inspiration for the cannabis infusion.
Yeah.
Explain on that.
They were okay, right? So I left the Schwabs, and my babysitter ended up having brain cancer and breast cancer. So asked me, hey, I'm going to the dispensaries. You're my friend chef. I did special food for her already, like different meals and stuff and planning. So she asked me, hey, I can only get candy and cookies and brownies. What do I do? I'm diabetic. I'm on the brat diet, banana, rice, apples, and toast. What do I do? Help me out. Give me some nutrients. Give me some ability to put cannabinoids into that. So I looked into it. So there's a doctor out of up in Humboldt, Mendocino area, Dr. William Courtney. He was a big influencer in juicing cannabis raw.
Okay.
Okay, and it gave a big educational base on what it did from some of the lifestyles that him and his new wife began to show from their data that they started to collect, because it's all sort of new.
Yeah.
And Dr. William Courtney was awesome.
Wow.
So that's where it all sort of started, with juicing cannabis, giving cannabinoids into the butter, which was a simple one, right? Mm-hmm. And then into drinks, into soups, into stocks, things that they would start to eat that they could actually hold down. because of the radiation and the chemotherapy.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was like the big influence. So then I had a friend that said, hey, why don't you make a company and we'll run a little ad in Craigslist? And I said, okay. Well,
And the company would be infusing foods with these.
CannabisCatering.com was born. So that became the viral. So when I ran the ad into Craigslist, all of a sudden Fast Company called me. Fast Company is a publication. So that was my first breakthrough on the viral. So I became an overnight success in cannabis because of fastcompany.com.
Wow.
So they wrote that original article. Ariel Schwartz was the writer of that article.
Wow.
So she wrote that, and it turned Grubhub all the way through to Playboy, National Geographic. So I would do cooking demonstration, and National Geographic would show up, shoot visuals, and give me an interview on why I'm picking the selection, going with this food. They would do shots. So all the different publications, there was shots of food. I would give a recipe. I was just as transparent.
Were you still doing? Were you doing the infusions at that time?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 100%. So I was taking my culinary school
experience,
and my experience of being able to turn sauces and do emulsification and understand some gastronomy. So it became real easy.
How do you balance? And because everybody who's ever tried edibles, one of the most common feedback is I ate too much, or I ate more than what I'm. How are you able to balance that, or are you able to balance that?
100%. I have 100% control, pinpoint accuracy.
So if I'm
when I started, there was no labs. Okay.
So if I'm a cannabis, if I appreciate cannabis, and on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm an 8. You will make a sauce that will be okay for me, but for somebody who's a 2, they won't have that same effect. I mean, they won't have an overdose on that.
Well, number one, no one's ever overdosed from cannabis.
I mean, I use the word overdose, but I mean,
you may want to die, but it's not going to kill you.
SQR podcast called Rosenberg. When we drop a jewel, it's something profound. Instead, we call it dropping a jewel, and he just did.
But that's real.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You may want to die, but
it's all about the golden wheelbarrow. I used to do that at my events. I spray painted a wheelbarrow gold.
Yeah.
And then if someone was having a hard time, right, I was like, all right into the wheelbarrow, open to the cab.
Boom.
Close the cab. Yeah, good times.
The golden wheelbarrow. It's so funny.
But it's been a long time. I've had to do that because that's where it started. And then lab testing came in. I became really good friends with John Oram, the original founder of CW Analytical, out of Oakland.
Yeah.
So it gave me my own personal laboratory to be able to start throwing recipes at, extracts at, cannabis flowers, all these different things that I would come up with. He was like, chef, you're crazy. Cool. And all of a sudden they could do chocolate and all the stuff opened up.
Everything expanded.
And I didn't realize that, it wasn't just myself, but there was a whole group of us that was just handing these people things that they were able to build SOPs, which become the foundation of how we're actually regulating cannabis today.
Wow.
Yeah, back really early.
Wow.
Because that wasn't there at all. So once you understand it, and then you get a lab report back, right?
Yeah.
So say you have an extract that is 90% THC or cannabinoids. We'll just use THC. That means it's 900 milligrams per gram. So at that point, you could, even if you want 10 milligrams, you want 5, you want 1 milligram.
Exactly.
I'm able to titrate it just from this lab report, and it changed my life and everyone's life in the cannabis industry.
It's amazing.
That was the foundation of being able to actually write the laws. So that, a 10 milligram, how are you going to pull that off if you didn't have a lab test? None of those things existed.
makes a lot
So
of sense.
when you ask me, can I do that?
Yes, you can.
110%, sir.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Wow. So I am now even more fascinated with understanding the foundation you helped build with that, and the merger of the culinary, and especially the medicinal effects on patients and cancer patients who are now able to digest something, get the relief, and also maintain an appetite, because it makes you want to builds the appetite up. So as you're doing this, have you ever stopped for a moment and look back and go, holy crap, look what I'm involved in, or look what I'm doing?
Well, in I think it's 17, or I forget which year, 17 or 18, right before I met Mr. Spalding, okay, I saw this ad on Facebook about the University of Vermont Department of Pharmacology, the first medical school in the world to give a continued education certification to physicians. You had to be a PhD or a doctor or a pharmacist of some sort to be part of this program. I didn't read that part. Okay, so I'm sitting there and I saw it and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. And so I put an application in, and then I go to Burning Man. You never heard of Burning Man out in the desert? So I've been quite a few times to that. I like to burn. And I get a call. I'm like riding the bike on the playa, and I use my phone to take pictures, right? Well, all of a sudden my phone rings, and I'm all, whoa. We won't go into why I'm so woed up, but whoa, right? And it's the medical school. And I'm all, hello? Oh, hello, this is the director of the Vermont. And I'm like, okay, yeah, what's going on? And I'm all, well, it doesn't look like you're a PhD. And I'm all, yeah, true that. Well, you can't go. And I was all, well, I'm on the playa. What's the playa? It's at the beach. I'm all, no, I'm in Burning Man. He's all, oh my God, I really wish I can go to that. So we talked about psychedelics and all this stuff for the director for like 10 minutes. And he's all, well, you have a good time, buddy. And I'm like, thanks. Back on my bike, taking off, right? Well, the class actually starts in October. And it comes up, ding, on my reminder, like, hey, class starts. And I'm like, man, why didn't they call me? Totally forgot that I talked to the director. So now I got this little irritation, like, why didn't they call me? So I call the director, like, yo. And I get on the phone with them. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Right?
The same guy who called you initially.
Yes, that said I couldn't. And they don't take phone calls, and I just managed to bitch and get on the phone with them.
Yeah.
And this guy starts, actually it's a team too, right? They start asking me questions. What makes you think you could be in this? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, let's talk about, what were you doing in 1995, ma'am? She goes, what do you mean? I'm like, well, in 1995, I worked for a gentleman named Dennis Perrone. You know who that is? And she's all, I know heard of him. I'm all, well, I worked in the first cannabis dispensary in the United States of America. And she goes, oh. Well, you've heard of Brownie Mary? She goes, yeah. Well, I delivered her brownies into USF, into Oakland, into Stanford University, to dying patients because we believed in cannabis. And she goes, oh. Well, so, when did you come into the scene?
Yeah.
And she goes, well, Mr. Nesbitt, you have about 20 more years than we have on, they've had 5 years.
Yeah.
Working at University of Mississippi, working for GW Pharmaceutical, writing Epidiolex recipes.
Wow.
So now I'm working underneath them. They accepted me. She asked like 50 questions and was all, I think you might help us. And they let me in. Do you have the money, chef? And I was all, beep, beep, beep. How do you want that? You want it in weed or cash or what?
Yeah. Wow.
Just kidding. But so I got in. And, I made it through the whole thing. And it changed the way that I actually looked at the patient. Because now I'm looking at clinical trial data. I'm starting to understand stuff a little bit more. And it gave me a better foundation to speak to higher level individuals other than dispensary or media and families. Right now I'm on a political level.
Yes.
And that's where I jumped into St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Okay, because, I had my dispensary, I had an edible company, and then I was working with the Mueller family who started Acres in Las Vegas.
Oh, nice. I didn't know they were behind Acres.
Yes. They're original, the original Acres.
Oh, okay. Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was out of Las Vegas. So they brought me in to Acres in Eureka. Eureka's in St. Salinas. It was a 100,000 square foot facility for Steinbeck and Mice and Men.
Yes.
That's where they grew all those flowers. That was my first big grow, helping that group right there.
So not only did you, and it seems like because of that experience at the college, the university, that you're able to understand through that program, the whole dynamics of the cannabis. And
I was able to refine, and it gave a foundation for people to go, oh, you just aren't like some cannabis chef guy.
Yeah.
Oh, you went to culinary school. Oh, you've been a celebrity to these people. You have rapport. You've done this. You've got your own businesses. You have licenses. All of a sudden, things change.
True. The validity is there.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. But I wanted to ask, as you became more knowledgeable and started really understanding the correlation between the plant and the patient, has your inspiration been fueled more by that, or maybe more for just wanting to bring a whole knowledge base consumer?
That's amazing you say that, Kay. I've just recently had a business partner that pulled up this whole video about the why. Okay. And the why is, why are you you? Why have you done what you've done? What is the why? Okay. And there's been a period where, because I've done so many different things within the industry, you really lose where you came in and what you want to do. And, all of a sudden you're, I own a video production company. I have a TV network. There's all these different, what's the why at this point? It started off helping my cancer patient lady who was my babysitter. That's the why. Okay? Giving. And that's what built who I was the whole time. Giving my education. Well, everyone held it tight. Okay? I'm spreading it. I'm writing articles about it. I'm giving it away for free. Okay? It's blessings. While everyone's trying to help themselves and the people that they love from different Western medicines, I'm giving free knowledge away just to help families, help babies. I've got babies that survived that are still alive from brain cancer. There's a why. And if you don't have a why, you're just doing it for the dough.
SQR podcast, Gore Rosenberg, a phenomenal jewel. And I have to say, in the years I've been doing this podcast, that's in the top 5, my friend. If you don't have a why, you're only doing it for the dough.
No.
And that's even so pathetic.
It is. And everyone follows that.
No, but I like how, and I salute you, because when I ask you, what's the motivation, and you mentioned the why, you quickly went back to why you started this. And then all you've done since we've been talking is shared with me how you've expounded on that why to where we are right now. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about where we are right now.
Yeah.
But before we do that, I want to go back a little bit
Sure.
and touch on the connections you've had with two of my biggest artists, Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, who, by the way, they just murdered the Super Bowl with Mary J.
Wasn't that
Blige
amazing?
and
Like,
Eminem.
and
That was
like-
so classic.
Yeah, I mean, like the brain aneurysm. Sorry.
That he experienced.
Yeah, and for Dre to come back, learn how to walk, learn
Yeah.
how to sing, and do a lot of, that's inspiration. That's a why.
That's why.
It's a why. You know
So,
what I mean? Like,
tell me about your
that makes me like shiver. Like, oh my god, you got a good why.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm jealous right now. Good
Yeah.
why, good why, good why. Dr.
Yeah.
Dre.
Tell me about your connection with Dr. Dre, Snoop, and that whole West Coast connection and your influence
so
there.
there was a guy, Jay Loudpack, and
Yeah.
Sammy Trujillo. Okay, so those guys were working together, and Rob Quintero, and they all, they did work with him with weed back in the day, a long time, supplying a lot of good cannabis to a lot of people, cool people, and we were all doing stuff. So like there was a company called We Grow that was the Walmart of hydroponics.
Okay.
So that's where National Geographic was, and,
Oh, okay.
then they brought in all these other people, and it opened up the plane ticket getting to Vegas to do Snoop Dogg first.
What did you do for Snoop?
The first time crepes,
Okay.
Nutella, whipped cream, Chantilly whipped cream, and strawberries.
All infused.
All infused, yeah. With the little syrup, everything's infused from the crepe, the whipped cream, all of it.
What was
The
Snoop's
Nutella.
reaction?
Close the door.
No shit.
Yeah. Yeah, there was no really interaction. I made more friends with like Corrupt and the Dog Pound.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a really good understanding of the life that, all these other rappers
Yeah.
underneath him lived.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was mind blowing.
Oh wow. So you just provided the food.
Mm-hmm.
What about Dr. Dre?
That was at Chalice. So, but Snoop invited me another time, but it was the same kind of experience.
Yeah.
But it wasn't totally just that. We went to, he performed at Wild Bill's at State Line. We were in Convoy. I'm with the Dog Pound in a Humvee. There's like 10 Humvees performing at like 15,000 people. Then we're going to strip clubs and playing all these crazy places back.
This is all
all
because
night
you're
long.
and you're providing just the food for these guys.
Yeah, just kicking it. No frequency. Either
Yeah.
you're a goon or you get to kick it.
Yeah.
You're part of the fam.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, true.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What was your interaction with Dr. Dre like?
Well, actually, it was 113 degrees at a festival called Chalice that Dougie puts on.
Yeah.
And it's no more. But it was a real cool music festival, cannabis festival with glass and, a lot of cool artists played. Maybe like 20 or 30 big artists
wow.
played and stuff. And Dre was a headliner in Ice Cube, and that was the first time I met both of those guys.
You provided
So,
food for them also?
they wanted food at first, but then they're like, hey, scratch the food. Can we get fruit platters? And I was like, yeah, dude. So I supplied a bunch of different syrups to go onto the fruit.
Oh, sweet.
And then I had a chocolate fountain.
Yeah.
So each one of they were in cabanas,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Stage side. While each one performed. So while Dr. Dre performed, Ice Cube
Was in the cabana.
was in the cabana. Like each one of them on each side, you know what I mean?
Oh, sweet.
So
sweet.
they each got their own little grinds that I brought them.
Okay, and all the food's infused for them also.
Just the dip.
Just the-
So those people that didn't want to get high in the
Yeah.
booze too.
Oh, that's
Cabanas.
amazing.
Yeah, you don't have to get high.
Yeah, which is beautiful.
You
As I'm
tell
actually
me what you want, I'll give it to you. It's not about getting you loaded. It's
Yeah.
about giving the baby what the baby wants.
Once.
Yeah.
Another jewel on SQR podcast. Yo.
Give the baby what the baby wants, and you'll do business forever.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's so amazing hearing you, share your interactions and the way you're bringing your passion and your culinary experience to the forefront and the infusion with the medicine. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about this today. People goes, yo, I'm high. You're not high. You're elevated. Because what's the opposite of high is low. So are you, when you're not high, you're low? No, you're not. But you're just more elevated and more aware. And that's why we salute how you're bringing this, to the forefront. I wanted to just get into where we are right now. And I would love to pick up on Number one, we'll go back to the music. You have a gig coming up pretty soon.
Yep.
Talk to me about that gig.
It is the Cali Bud Fest in Las Vegas. It'll be like 16,000 people, somewhere in there like that.
You're spinning.
I'm DJing the VIP and I'm cooking at the same time. And infusing
Nice.
for 20 VIP.
Nice.
And then I am headlining the main stage. I'm not sure. I think it's right after Dizzy Right.
Oh, wow.
So I'm closing the place up.
Okay. What are we doing for the food? Where we are with the culinary stuff?
I got my high altitude TV. So that's what's sort of launching right now. So I've taken a little bit of time since COVID and everything. I wanted to try to highlight not just myself, but other people and give other people an opportunity to be able to express their arts. You know, like I've been doing it for 20 plus years now. So now my thing is like, yo, how do I give back? How do I like
Serve.
do a simple, you know, OTT situation where it's out to like, you know, 10, 20 million people if you put it out correctly.
Correct.
You know, so it's up to the individuals to be able to promote and put it out, but we give them the platform to be able to actually reach those.
So high altitude TV,
Yes, sir.
and you're looking for all type of content.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Food, cannabis, music. You know, if you own your own content, music, videos, yeah, please. That's what it's about. Like art.
Wow.
Yeah.
DJ Chef Fred. So we have your gig coming up in Vegas, and that's in another 3 weeks, no?
3 weeks, yeah. Yeah, thank you.
You have the high altitude platform network that we can connect to.
Yeah.
On your restaurants, are you in a specific location now, or are you just really doing pop-up stuff, or?
I'm actually doing a thing for not high altitude TV, but for CampNovaOnline.com.
Okay.
So on Camp Nova's our non-plant touching technology.
Okay, I've never heard of that.
Okay. So we have vertical with equity partners. My partners that I decided to do partnerships with in California are equity. So the number one is Ronnie Leggett.
Okay.
So he was the poster child for all of the United States for social equity as what the perfect applicant would be. So I helped him, like he's a Native American gentleman from Oakland and black also.
Okay.
So I worked with him with the, like I donate a lot of time, right? So this is a program for the Oakland Food Pantry. You know what a food pantry is? Right?
Exactly.
So in Oakland, he is the director and started the foundation of the Oakland Food Pantry.
Okay.
Working with like Elaine Brown, a lot of the
Ooh.
Black Panthers. Okay, like he's a lot of foundation from the community that I've.
So
given
you're
to over
involved in you're working with that food that equity.
100%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So one of the programs is women that got out of this, like San Quentin.
Yeah.
Okay, would come into Oakland Food Organization, and we wrote a curriculum that would help the women be able to get their kids back. So they had to be able to read labels, cook food,
yeah.
do simple foundation, understanding how you're not going to kill your baby.
Yeah.
You know, you've been in the pen for 20 years and the baby's 21.
Yeah.
I'm being funny, but like
true.
you have to know these things. Like,
Wow.
Yeah, or it could, that's a little extreme.
Yeah, no, but I do understand. You come out, you need a life skill.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're going to
100%.
revert to.
So that's what Ronnie did. So he brought me in to help him with what he needed to have done so that these women could transition.
Okay.
So that's where him and I built our relationship. And then he became the number one equity for Oakland, California, which is the first equity program for social
beautiful.
equity in the world.
Beautiful. You know, it's so synonymous with your spirit, you know, of service.
He's
and
like
doing.
a best friend. He's a family person.
Wow.
Yeah.
Since your hands are on so many things, can I pick your brain and ask you, what do you enjoy the most?
People.
Wow.
I love people. I love being able to help people. That makes me thrive.
Wow.
You know, like, and it's not even about monetary.
Yeah.
It could be a hug. Like when I go to St. Vincent,
Yeah.
and I meet the prime minister, they're all, hey, you've been hugging everybody. I don't think you should be hugging, dude. Right off the bat, they don't like that in the Caribbean. Don't be touching no dudes.
You fire upon that, my youth.
And I was like, yo, I know I'm from San Francisco. But yo, no. So what do? We came from the bar, right,
Yeah.
to go meet the PM. And I'm like, hey. and you know what to do, dude?
Hugged you back.
Yeah.
What is he gonna do?
Yes.
Especially when it's all love. Yeah, especially when it's all
hey,
love.
this guy's good.
Yeah.
And then we're writing laws for the country, working with the United Nations and the World Health Organization to become the drafters of the 2018 Medical Plant-Based Medicine Cannabis Act for St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Mazel tov. Mazel tov.
Cheers. Just like that, though.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's about being open, about frequency.
Yeah.
And manifesting. Okay? What do you want to do? I dreamt about Bob Marley. I dreamt about Caribbean. I wrote art. I wrote in college, different psychological philosophy papers about adults going from childhood to an elder, what their transition using cannabis was, and trying to get an understanding.
Yeah.
Like, were they anything credible? No.
No, I want
But it was just like trying, like, from a young age.
No,
to
I salute you for being so vested in that.
Searching.
For that surge.
It was amazing.
Wow. I lost my father to, he was a workaholic in the definition of every term. And he ended up developing an ulcer.
Dad.
Yeah. Thank you. Big shout out, James Lawrence.
Papa.
Big shot. And what I know about cannabis now, I wish I knew about it back then, because I would have forced him to just either eat something, smoke something, and take a breather, because it would have slowed him down, get him some rest, but it would also develop an appetite where he would have to eat. So, that now where the cannabis knowledge is more readily available, the way you get it is more important. And that's what I'm getting from you. You've enjoyed the entire ride, and you're able to see how it works. And I mean, it's amazing what you've done. Where do you see the future for DJ Chef Fred?
Education.
More education.
More education, more philanthropy, and more licenses.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because it's about the partnerships. The more licenses in states that I work, the more opportunities I give to other equity partners. So Arizona, Nevada, Oklahoma, Massachusetts, so now New Jersey and New York. Here we are.
Wow.
And what am I doing? Working with equity partners. Once again.
Serving.
Yes, sir.
Serving, which has been the marquee of this entire podcast. As we get ready to close, I always, and I extend to my guests the magic wand. And you have 2 wishes. Any 2 things you want. The only caveat is none of the wishes could be for more wishes. So you got 2 wishes. Your first wish. Go. Your first wish.
Financial equality.
Your first wish.
Just equality in general. I mean, at first I was going to say financial equality, but I feel that equality between all people would be very good for the world. And
Equality.
yes, sir. Yeah, I think that would help out a lot right now, because there's a lot of separation between of all people.
There is.
There really is.
There is.
If some of those barriers could be dropped, I think it's going to go a long way for all the countries that are around in the world.
What about? I'm waiting for this thing to stop knocking in the sky.
I don't know. I don't know if I like the equality one. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just because the guys up here all laughing.
Yeah, and I'm like, yo, give me a break already. We're almost
not very
done.
equal, dude.
All right, cool. Let's rock in. So, DJ Chef Fred, when I end the podcast, I extend to my guests the ability to make 2 wishes, and I give them the magic wand. What's your first wish?
Everyone the ability to manifest. Okay, like for myself, what's really helped me is understanding breathing techniques, understanding humbling things, that you're not everything, okay? But what you
Powerful.
are is the ability to have the what you want, okay?
Powerful.
What you need. So if you're able to breathe and get away and just think, where is it that I need to be, and what does that look like, and what is that route that it took for me to get to that point? Okay,
To manifest
if you
it.
can reverse that engineering, you might. Okay, if you do it a little bit, you might see one of the signs. You know, not that you're gonna see all of them. If you could see one, that could be the one little thing that could change and make your manifest real. And that was something that you thought of.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
like good luck getting all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get one or two, man.
Wow.
And that could be the key to you.
So that first wish is
Yeah.
for everybody to be able to manifest and understand the power of manifesting.
Manifestation, yeah. And then the other one is family and love. You know, like I'm going through some family changes in my life, and just to be able to keep that in my life and be able to be there for my kids and my family, it makes a big difference on how I'm going to sleep and feel about what I'm doing. Did I do all this to give up that? Or did I do all this to train them so they can do it?
It's
I
powerful.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can cry about it.
Yeah. It's
Fuckers.
yeah. I know, because I can. The reason why I can really empathize, especially to that last wish, is I'm experiencing something similar to that, and I've asked myself that many times: was it worth it? Did I do that to lose this? And you know, it's a question I'm still answering. You know, so as we get ready to close, DJ Chef Fred Nesbitt III, I salute you. It's been an honor sitting across from you, hearing the journey, and it's right now. It just seems like it's the tip of the iceberg.
It's only beginning. Every day is the new beginning.
Like when I think
So
about,
if you look at all, tomorrow, every day is the new. It's a rebirth every day.
not the jewel.
And every day is a rebirth. So if you constantly live in yesterday, you're never going tomorrow. Go, get it. Believe in
And that's what
yourself.
you've done.
Yeah, every day.
That's what you've done.
Here I am. I'm in New York City. Or I'm in Jersey City right now.
Actually, you're in Patterson, New Jersey.
Sorry.
You've been moving around so much.
I don't even know. where I am.
Yo, flying from the West Coast. This guy's been moving nonstop. So you've been to New York, you've been to Jersey City, but right now we're wrapping up SQR podcast here with DJ Chef Fred here at Patterson, New Jersey, the Art Factory, and I honor your journey with more positive blessings.
Mr. Rosenberg, this is my biggest honor since a long while. So thank you for the time and the energy for the biography of myself. And it really makes me happy. So thank you for giving me that ability to
Cheers.
enjoy
Do
it.
it. Finish up these Highness
Love
SQR
you.
podcast.